Beatport podcast. Hello and welcome to the Beatport podcast. I'm your host, Tigerlight. Today we're joined by Andrea Oliva. He started DJing as a child and has gone on to play all around the world. A key member of the party Ants, he has had multiple residencies over the years headlining in Ibiza and releases across labels such as Defected, Hot Creations and many more. Always seeking to perfect his own signature sound, he is an open-minded artist who believes in supporting all scenes that fit within the dance music community. So without further ado, here's a conversation with Andrea Oliva. Welcome to the Beatport podcast. Thank you so much for your time. Where are you Skyping us from today?
Beatport podcast. I'm home in Switzerland.
Okay, so you're half Swiss, half Italian, right?
I'm Italian, born in Switzerland. The thing is, when you're born in Switzerland, you're not automatically Swiss. Mm-hmm. So my parents immigrated like 40 years ago to Switzerland. So I hold an Italian passport, but I was born and raised in Switzerland. Whenever I'm in Italy, everyone says, okay, I'm Swiss. And here in Switzerland, I'm Italian. So here we go.
So how does that work for your identity? Like, what do you feel that you are?
It's very funny because in certain situations I feel very Italian, and in others I feel very Swiss. So I think it's a perfect mix.
When do you feel Swiss and when do you feel Italian?
I feel Swiss when it comes to being on time, keeping my word, things like this. When it's more about being serious, mm-hmm. And I'm very passionate, and I'm very I can go crazy for little things. I think also a little bit exaggerated, and that's more the South Italian kind of style. So I have a bit both.
What about in the kitchen?
In the kitchen, I'm Italian, 100%, 110%.
Lucky for your friends.
I love cooking, actually, yeah. I love cooking.
And what's your favourite Italian dish to make?
It must be tagliatelle alla bolognese.
But you grew up in Switzerland, so your parents came over to Switzerland. And why did they decide to move?
Well, just because of work. So 40, 50 years ago, possibilities in the market weren't so great in Italy. So there's a lot of Italians moved to Switzerland. Basically now, the Italians in Switzerland are considered as one of them, because they're here since 50, 60 years. So yeah, I'm very glad to be born and raised here. I love the country. It's amazing.
And your parents, are they still in Switzerland?
They're still here, yes.
So do you think that you guys would ever move back to Italy?
Oh no, never. No, I don't think so.
Switzerland is home.
Switzerland is home, definitely, yes. And I think it's always nice to go to Italy. I play also very often in Italy, and I love everything about Italy, but I think I couldn't live there. It's a bit too chaotic.
A bit too passionate.
A bit too hot.
Yes.
Yes.
And when you grew up, you started playing the drums. What attracted you to the most irritating of instruments to have as a next door neighbour who's learning the kit? What was it about the drums that made you want to play it?
They all hated me actually in the neighborhood because I was just banging on my drums, and I think if you're listening to my music, maybe you hear there it's a lot going on around the rhythms. So I'm someone who loves rhythms, and I'm not very melodic actually. But I love melodies, but I'm not very into writing melodies and stuff like this. So I would say the drums were fitting my preference of music. It's rhythm. I love every rhythm part in music.
And did you learn any other instruments as you were growing up, or pick up any later?
No, not really. No, just drums.
And were you playing in any bands back then as a drummer, or just alone?
Yes, I did. we were like first we were like a cover band of Nirvana, then we tried to be a cover band of Rage Against the Machine's cover band of, you know, so very funny times. Yeah.
And do you think that you would want to start a live band now or later on?
I don't know. Maybe. Well, I don't know actually. I also don't. You know, when it comes to performing, I'm so much into DJing that I like to hide behind my CDJs and mixer, and you know, I feel very comfortable. And also, I also don't plan to be a live act or to perform my music live. So I'm not sure if I would be ever like a band member.
So when you were playing in your Rage Against the Machine covers band back then, what other musical influences did you have around you?
You know, the thing is, and I'm very glad I have this open-minded approach to music. Like, you know, my friends, they were like all skaters and punks, and they were all only into, you know, Rage Against the Machines and, you know, like all those kind of bands, Nirvana at the time. Bad Religion, but I also liked, for example, I used to listen to Nirvana, same as I used to listen to, you know, like a Tribe Called Quest or Wu-Tang. So I was very open-minded when it came to music, and I still am actually, and. You know, I used to play in the band, but I also used to listen to Sven Bad and you know, and DJ Hell at the time. So very paradox in a way, but yeah.
And was it listening to those records that made you want to start DJing? What was it? You were 15 when you started playing, right?
I was 13.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, like my uncle, he used to be electronic music producer. Like he used to produce, like back in the 90s, he used to produce like all this ambient trip hop kind of sound. And every Sunday we had lunch at my grandparents' place. And my uncle used to be like the youngest in the family, so he still used to live with my grandparents. And every Sunday I used to go there for lunch, and then we locked ourselves in the studio, and I learned a lot from my uncle actually. And I had some older friends in my small Swiss village where I'm still living, and they were all into this acid house and, you know, trance. So one day I wanted to become a DJ all of a sudden, yeah, because I was like just blown away by, you know, mixing electronic music, like mixing acid, house, techno, trance.
Did your uncle DJ too?
No, he's just a producer. Yeah. He was just producing like his weird ambient music, yeah.
Is he still doing that?
Yeah, but like not professionally, but he's doing it, yeah. He's still producing, yeah. He still has his bedroom studio.
Awesome. So that sounds like a really rich, inspiring place to start off. And then you went and got yourself a job at a record store, which is the best research for any DJ. What are your happiest memories of that job? And do you keep any lessons from those days when you're now searching for music?
You know what? I think those were like the best days in my entire career, even though I didn't have the career back then which I am having now. But you know, I was the kind of guy which skipped school to go to the record store because I knew they would have like a new shipment and new records. So I started to work in a distribution. And we also had like 2-3 record stores. So I used to work during the week in the record distribution, and the weekends I went to work in the record store. And that was like, you know, it was almost like a church, for me, you know what I mean? But like it was like the place to meet with other DJs, and it was always like I missed the tension when you were waiting for like the mail delivery guy who would bring those boxes, and you know the whole tension and the whole digging for records. And people used to be like very angry and sad when they didn't get the promo of like a big record. And I was like maybe 16, 17, and I had all of those promos. So yeah,
wow,
good times. Yeah,
so when you're looking for music now, do you go hunting in record stores still?
No, I still order some records from time to time, but I get a lot of promos. I get tons of promos sent digitally, and then I buy like on all different platforms like Beatport and all the rest.
Of course.
Yes,
only
of course,
Beatport,
yes.
That's what you mean.
Oh well, yes, we're doing a Beatport.
Yes, you are. Good that you name check Beatport then. Thank you.
Yes.
What's your name? When I say it again.
This is the Andrea Oliva remix of Anonymous, originally by Josh Butler, out on Hot Creations.
What's your name? What's your name?
You have a residency at the famous floating nightclub called Nordstern. Your connection to this club was first via an old school friend, and you went on to promote a night called Bandits. Like, what are your memories of those early days? And do you think that without that connection to that party, you would have got the international exposure that led you to play your first gig in Ibiza?
Yeah, the thing is, it's very like maybe how can I explain it to you? Like, the thing is, people ask me always, why are you still living in Basel? You could live like in Barcelona, in Berlin, you could live in London, you could live, and I still live here because I have all my friends here. And Nordstern is basically a club we built it, and we're all friends from day one. So imagine like my Agi, my partner at Nordstern, which he's the owner. He used to be the one who was driving me to gigs when I was 16 and I had no driver license. And he used to be my partner when we start throwing our first parties. And basically, we had this party going on called Bandits, and we did this for like 7-8 years. And at one point we said like, okay, why we don't like, I should start focusing on more producing, and you, Agi, we with the money we have, we should start investing the money, like maybe in a club or something. So Agi bought Nordstern, and here we are today. So I was focusing more on my DJ career and my producer career to get out of Switzerland, and at the same time he was like focusing more on the club. And it's something we built it both together. Like, he had like a very big influence in my DJ and producer career. I had a very big influence in his in the club. So and we're still best friends. So
that's lovely. How involved are you now with Nordstern?
Well, we talk every day, and I know every single detail going on in the club, and when there is certain decisions to make, like we talk a lot, and we have future plans together, I'm pretty much involved. Like, I don't do bookings because I don't want to upset any other DJ friend who doesn't get booked, and they know, Andrea, why the booking? So I don't do any bookings. Like, I play only like 3-4 times a year, and I just try to be as supportive as I can.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome that you have those strong connections, and that must keep you really grounded as well. Like, the life of being a DJ and a producer and all the social media and all the hype, that must be really important for you and for your mental health, just to keep you, level, right?
Oh yeah, it is. Well, the thing is, from my character is more like I'm never as satisfied as I should be when it comes to, okay, you have achieved some goals in your career and you should be like super happy and everything. So I always try to see, always try to look forward, and maybe because I'm Swiss, in a way, I always try to not be too overexcited about things, but just try to keep being focused and and grounded, and and it's also my environment here, all my friends, which don't really how can I say it as diplomatic as I should. Like, they basically couldn't care less if I tour all over the world more or less successfully or not, so
like, they care about you, but for them it's like you could be working in a bakery and they'd still love you, basically.
They're all very proud of what I'm doing, but also they could also be very proud if I would have like a normal job and very normal life.
That's awesome. You said just then that you decided to step away from the nightclub to focus on production, and essentially that was going to be your calling card to get international gigs, because you'd been touring for 10 years successfully around Switzerland just as a DJ. As the production was used as a calling card, did you feel like when you started really getting into production that it came kind of second in the sort of natural creativity sense to DJing, or are they both equal for you?
In like the problem I faced in Switzerland was like that. I had like a lot of gigs in Switzerland. There was like back then there was like Switzerland was like full of clubs, full of raves, so I had like my 2-3 gigs a week, and it made me a bit lazy in developing my my profile as an artist. And if you want to talk about the complete artist, I think only being a DJ is also an artistic gift you might have, but like I like to have to be like complete, like having my own label, working as a producer, being open to a lot of forms and kinds of and styles of music, and DJing. So that for me individually, like if you ask me, that makes like a whole artist, like in our electronic music world. So as I had a lot of gigs in Switzerland, I was super lazy and I didn't focus so much on productions, which I was very happy to open my eyes and realize that Switzerland is not the center of the world and that the world is very big. So I wanted to play outside of my country, and I knew the only like the only reason for someone to book me outside of Switzerland would be because of my music. So I was like, okay, when I started like doing music, like production for me was like a reason to do it because I wanted to play outside of Switzerland. But now is like not because I want to gain gigs. Now it's more like because I want to how can I explain it? Like I want to create like my own trademark. You know, I want people that, like, always when I was like 16, 17, working in the distribution, and they used to play songs of new releases, and I could tell them instantly who the producer was. So I try to achieve this more than producing to gain gigs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you feel that you've done that now? Do you feel like you've...
No way. Maybe, I don't know, but not now. Yeah, I still think I'm a much better DJ than producer. Yeah.
Do you have any production mentors that you know, like your uncle when you were growing up? Do you have anyone now?
Yeah.
What?
Oh, I have like a I have like a lot of, like, for example, I like James Holden. He's like a genius. Or, for example, Carl Craig. He in the studio, he's like next level. I think Maceo Plex is also really, really good in the studio. And then, I like, of course, like all the Detroit old school guys, Lil Louis and Moody Man, and they are not from Detroit, but like Derek May, Kevin Saunderson, all of those guys, like Jeff Mills, and like they are like they were like big inspiration when I was like much younger. And now I have like other people I'm looking up to, but more because of I listen to their sound, and I know how I know how difficult it is to make a track sound like they sound, for example, or a certain technique, or so yeah.
Do you have anyone who...
This is it.
That's a great list of names, absolutely. Do you have anyone, and maybe it is some of those people, but do you have anyone that you actually go and sit in the studio with and learn from now?
No.
Just use your ears.
I would love to, like, if I would have like a wish, I would say like, okay, get me first into the studio with FX Twins, and then... And then get me to the studio with Carl Craig, and then get me to the studio with, I don't know, like with Tom York and James Holden, and,
Square Pusher.
But I think I wouldn't, the thing is, our kind of music is, it's like if you can produce house and techno, it's a good, it's maybe a good fundament to develop your technique to do like serious music and compositions, and and like doing songs. What I'm doing now is like I'm doing tracks. Actually, I'm doing tracks, and they get played in clubs, and I love them. But in like 10-20 years, I would like to do songs, which you can hear in 10-20 years time.
So when you're saying serious, do you mean like film music or songs for singers to sing?
Yeah, like songs, like songs, and with singers and with people from not only our kind of world, maybe.
That's cool. So that's what you see in your old age, having a studio looking over the Alps, writing #1 hits for the new X Factor stars.
Not even #1 hits. No.
No. Who would you be writing for then?
maybe it sounds a bit weird, or maybe it sounds a bit cheesy or arrogant what I'm about to say, but I hope I get to the point where I do enough money with all my traveling and my hard work and no days off and, like no vacations and, giving 200% only for my DJ and producer work. So I hope one day this pays off and I can sit in the studio and just work on music and just be free to produce whatever I want. And maybe also work with people from like indie rock band, or merging like electronic music with another kind of with other kind of music. So this is what I want to do in the future. No X Factor and no pop crap, and
That sounds really cool. I think you should start sooner. Do a side project.
Yes.
But like you said...
Yeah, if I would have time.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? You're listening to Terrace by Andrea Oliva, out on Saved Records. You've released your second EP with Hot Creations this year. What is your creative relationship like with the label?
I'm very tight with Jamie and everyone at the label, Waf and Patrick Topping and Richie Ahmed. All of those guys are lovely friends of mine, and Jamie has been also very supportive. He has been playing my music since a long time, and whenever I have something which might fit the label, I send him, and most of the time I'm lucky, and he likes to release it. And I'm also a regular for his parties, Paradise. So it's very I would say like it's very nice to work with them, because they are releasing music for the right reason, and they are doing parties for the right reason, and they are lovely people. So I like to work with them.
You've said in previous interviews that the more that you feel the desire from the label to sign your tracks, the more productive you get. And I was wondering about in the early days when, no one knew who you were apart from in Switzerland. Did that affect your productivity when you're saying you need to have a kind of interest to get fired up? How did you balance that before? What was your driving force before?
You know what? Like the same thing happened to me as every newcomer nowadays. Like, you send music to a label and you get no response. And I had this for like a long time. I had this actually for quite a few years, I think, where, I was like too over-motivated sending tracks to Sven Bed and pretending to have like, oh, this track is so nice, I think Sven Bed would like it, and he would release it on Cocoon, which it was like a dream. Which never happened back then, you know. So whenever I was sending music to a label, I had no response. And until I started to release music on, you know, labels like BS1, that's Shlomi Arber's label, or Cadenza, Luciano's label, then basically releasing on those labels opened doors for other A&Rs and people who have labels to approach, you know, like I had a situation where I was sending music to a label and they would never answer for like 3-4 years or 2 years, and all of a sudden my name got around in this world, and basically they started to contact me like, oh, we would love to sign your music, and do you have like new music? And that was like, here we go. Now they come, now they ask, now, you know, they you know, they were never getting back to me, and now they beg for music. So yeah, this is how it works, unfortunately. But I think the good thing nowadays is that it's easy, much easier than it used to be, to set your own label, to build your own profile, and to release music on your own label. You know, yeah, but back when I started like 10-12 years ago, yeah, it was almost impossible to have like a release.
And I read that you're thinking of starting a label, is that right?
Yes.
So with what you've just said, which is very interesting, you know, and you've had that, you know, you've really put the work in, like sending demos out, you know, touring for 10 years, setting up a night, like you really put the hours in. Like if you're a label head, do you think that's going to affect the way that you treat demos when they come in and the kind of feedback you give to newcomers?
100%. You know, also because the good thing with me is that I have, you know, I have my career as a DJ, and we have like our Ants brand around the world, and you know, things are going well. So doing the label is not because I want to earn money or something. So it's in the beginning, it's also not going to be you know, the reason shouldn't be to sell as many records as you can. That's why I do a label. No, it's more like because I also wanna shock people in a way, because you know, in our world everyone thinks like, okay, Andrea is playing this kind of music, he's gonna release this kind of music on his own label. But I, you know, I like basically a bit of everything. So if I like a techno track from a young techno artist no one knows, I'm gonna release it. If I like a house record from someone not known at all, I'm gonna release it, as long as I like and I believe in the music, you know. So it's not gonna affect me at all.
That's great. So it's going to be an open-minded imprint.
Yes.
Awesome.
And and I have like people who are listening to the music, not only me. So I have like you know, I have an A&R, which is very experienced. Yeah. In A&R, I have people in my team, and they are all going to listen to demos, and you know, it's I'm very excited, as you maybe can feel. Like,
of course,
I'm very excited to have like our own label.
And how close are you to launching?
Super close. Like basically, we could launch it. We could have a first release in from now on maybe 3 months.
What's the name of the label?
I can't tell you yet.
Oh, you have to come back for another interview.
But it's something like, basically we are working since a year on the label, but I could never find the right name. Then once I had a name everyone agreed with, it was taken from like a indie band somewhere, but but now I have a name which is not taken, and it's a name which is me. Like it's something I have like a whole story for.
Sounds cool.
Yes.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
So watch this space, everybody. You just dropped in your collaboration with Ants. Like, what's the story behind you and Ants? How did that collaboration come about?
Well, it's very easy. I used to play Ushuaia when the new Ushuaia opened. I was resident for a party which used to be called Propaganda, but this was like just like a few, like 1 or 2 months. And then I also played for Cadenza, which was like for Luciano, which was also at the same time my agency. And then I basically quit the agency back then, and I had no more spot to play in Ibiza. So we came with one of the owners of Ushuaia, we came up with the idea, why we don't just do something by ourselves. So, and this is how Ants happened. So we were like brainstorming, and we were like, why we don't build a party where we focus on talents and music instead of focusing on big, huge names, paying big, huge fees just to sell out of the venue. We went as the main promoter. Is basically, Ants is like almost an in-house brand of Ushuaia. We were like, okay, we are more flexible and we have no pressure, so why we just don't do a party which showcases new talents which are possibly going to be big in the future. And I think we nailed it, because look at Kölsch, look at I don't know, Maya Jane Coles, Joris Warren, Nick Fanciulli, who else is regularly playing for us? Like myself, if I can be that selfish. So, we also started 7 years ago. Altogether, we invested in those names 7 years ago, and now I think they could headline any party really. So,
what does the Ants acronym stand for?
Well, Ants is the whole philosophy about the name is, how can I explain it? Like, one little ant alone has like no power. Like you would say, like, okay, they it's like they're not strong, but together they're super strong. Like, for example, if you see like have you ever seen like those YouTube where you have like thousands of ants moving like a freaking table?
Yeah.
So imagine one ant is not moving anything, but the whole colony of ants are able to move like very heavy things. So this is symbolic for what I just tried to explain. Like we didn't base the party on a big name, but we based the party around a whole concept and talents. So I think together now we do like up to 10,000 people at Ushuaia, so something which is quite heavy in the scene, I think, especially for Ibiza. So I think the whole team, the whole crew, the whole family is super strong together. This is what we try to say.
This is Moon Rocks, originally by Vibe Killers, remixed by Andrea Oliva, out on Raw Authentic.
DJ now, remember?
Beatport Podcast. I was wondering if you have a favourite moment from your time with the Ants Collective so far.
I've had a few favorite moments. When for example, when we started at Ushuaia. I don't know, are you familiar with Ushuaia? Like, it's a big, huge stage, like almost looks like a festival. The venue is very big, so we started in a small DJ booth in the back of the venue, actually. But after the second party, actually, we had so many people that we had to open the big stage.
Cool.
So this was the first moment of like, everyone being very proud, and that was like a very happy moment for me, because when we pitched the whole concept to our fellow DJs and agencies and whatever, they were all a bit skeptic because they couldn't see our vision. So this was also like a satisfaction of, okay, we are about to go in the right direction. So the whole process of the brand, the whole development, and the whole work and effort we put together is always a moment of being happy. But the moment who stood out the most was probably when I had my parents seeing me playing for the first time in Ibiza.
Wow.
So that was very nice.
So they rave? Your parents rave?
Well, they came. They came twice, but it's still impressive for them. I mean, they we have like 8, 9, 10,000 people, and they had a very proud moment.
Yeah,
that
of course.
A very good moment for me.
Of course. A lot of people who listen to this podcast will be DJs themselves, and I think it's always really interesting to know how other DJs store and archive their music. I was wondering, when you play CDJs, how do you organize your music on your USBs, SD cards, like in your computer?
Well, I can tell you, no one should take me as an example because I'm super chaotic. And I don't even use Rekordbox. And I basically have like folders on my USB sticks. And all of this because in all the chaotic environment I create myself with music being on each and every stick, like it's different music and different folders, and there's like no structure, like I basically just have like music on sticks, no Rekordbox, nothing. But this is making me more creative. Like, it's almost like back in the days when you were like digging in your Rekordbox which vinyl you want or which track you want to play next. You had to dig through your box and find the right and this is what I have now. Like, I'm chaotic, but I feel very creative in the process of finding a track. Like, for me, it's like I play a track. I see how the vibe is on the floor, if I catch the right moment, if the track is played in the right moment, and then I just figure out myself what track could stand out in this moment, and then I go like, okay, this one, and then I just try to find the track. And it's sometimes it's like, oh, do I find the time to find the track? And it's like I challenge myself like this.
Yeah.
I don't like it when it's too mathematic, when everything is super organized, and I don't like it. I don't know what I played. Like, I don't have playlists of what I played last week or a year ago or whatever. So
it's really interesting how differently DJs work, because I've asked this question to several of our guests. Yeah, everyone works really differently. The way that some guests have described that the way they prepare, they would have a complete anxiety attack doing it how you do it.
You know what? When I did my first essential mix, and the essential mix is for every DJ something very big. And for me, it was something super, super big, doing the essential mix on Radio 1. You know, it's something like it's a milestone in your career. So imagine even then, I didn't prepare any sets. I didn't know what to play. I just did it from scratch. I just, you know, I was like, oh wow, if I'm gonna lose the moment and if I'm gonna try, but at the end of the day, this is what makes DJing exciting, because you can't, you know, there is no formula for you to adapt. Like it's not mathematic. You know, it's like, it's not, you can't say 1 and 1 is 2 and you go and play a club and just put 1 and 1 and you know the result and you're gonna succeed. You know, like DJing is more than just playing one track after the other for me, you know. That's why I feel very creative when I'm not organized on my USB sticks.
So that's your Italian side coming out rather than the Swiss side.
Yes. Exactly.
You're Italian when you DJ. Yeah.
Yes. It's almost like if you take like a chef and you tell him, if you're a good chef, just open my fridge and create a dish with what you found in the fridge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if he can, he's a good chef.
Interesting, because I interviewed someone for one of the previous podcasts who said that people are expecting a brand when they come. They're expecting a certain level, and they don't want to just throw tunes out that they haven't tested. So they will play a set that they play, you know, for a year maybe, for example.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to throw those tunes out there because they feel like otherwise people might not get value for money. So it's just really interesting hearing, you know, everyone works differently and everyone thinks about DJing differently, I think.
Yeah, but I think also it's because, you know, like it depends on the territory, but sometimes I'm not the mega headliner and sometimes I am the headliner. So whenever I'm not the headliner and there is like a lot of other names on the lineup, people come to see, maybe some part of the crowd is coming to see you, some is coming to see someone else, and you know, and then you can basically play whatever you want, because there is not like, for example, when I play Italy, I have to play all of my tracks, otherwise they go crazy and they send me messages on all my social media platforms. Why didn't play this track? Why didn't play this track? So I think a band has to play, you know, needs to have like a certain playlist and play the whole year the same freaking songs. And I'm very happy to be a DJ so I can play new tunes and I don't have to play always the same.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Another thing about DJing, what is the worst technical error that you've had happen on CDJs and how did you deal with it?
You know, when the CDJ gets into I don't know how it's called, but I think it's like an error loop.
Emergency
loop.
Goes,
emergency loop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it goes into emergency loop. Like on the first CDJs, you know, the loop wasn't tight. So every emergency loop was like totally out of, you know, it would start at one point and it would loop the whole thing at another point where it would like make no sense. So it was totally out of time. And,
oh God.
And sometimes, as I'm a bit chaotic, I use like different, you know, USBs and stuff. So I had quite a few emergency loop moments in my life. But yeah, rather than that, I think I was pretty safe. Yeah.
And how did you get out of it? Did you have?
I think, you know, I used to learn all those loops when you didn't have like the loop function on the CDJ, like when you had to loop with in and out on the on the CDJ. And I used to learn from people like Eric Morillo was the number one in looping parts of a track, and also Lil Vega. So I remember looping parts of tracks already like 10, 12 years ago. So I would get out with just, when I used to play on the Pioneer, like just put a lot of effects and then loop this other track and then just try to do something or just try to act nothing happened.
Yeah, just throw your hands up in the air and swear at the CDJs. That works as well.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That would be like then my Italian side.
Yeah.
Like,
lots of hand gestures.
Not my fault.
No. Are you currently working on any new music? What can we expect from you in new releases coming soon?
Yeah, I have a lot of new releases coming. So I have a release on, right now, I think on Friday, I'm going to release a track on the new Desolat sampler. Then I'm going to have for next year scheduled full EP on Desolat. I'm going to do a release on Seth Roxton's label on Play It Say It with the Martinez Brothers remix. Then I have something, I don't know if I can say it, but I'm just going to say it. Like I have a project with Basement Jacks.
Oh, cool.
Actually. Yeah, incredible. It's happening, but you never know until it's really happening.
Yeah.
But I know it's happening, so that's why I tell you. But yeah, maybe I can tell you more about this when it's really, really happening. So I'm very excited about this. Then I have.
What will you be doing? Sorry, just to go back to that.
Okay, there is one song they have, and which is my favorite. The most legendary song in electronic music, like one of those 20 songs. Let's say, it's maybe one of those 20 songs which, Anyway, it's like Born, Sleepy of Underworld. They have also a song like this in my eyes. So,
Yep.
So one day, my management told me, we had a Basement Jacks asking if you could rework this and this tune. We just have to see where we're going to release it, but we're going to release it. So, yeah.
Very cool.
It's a huge thing. Yeah,
very cool.
Very, very cool. And then I have my releases on the first two releases on my own label are going to be my tracks. Mm-hmm. And I think I remixed Cats and Dogs.
Cool.
Like the first single of their upcoming album.
Pets recordings.
Which is amazing. Mm-hmm. And there's a remix of Gerrit Jansson and myself for the first single.
Nice.
And then what else? I think this is it.
Well, that's quite a lot. So, you're going to be busy. And we're very excited to hear all that music and especially make that Basement Jacks remix, rework, rejig, whatever it's going to be happen.
Yes.
Now you've talked about it, so you have to do it.
Or re-sing. Maybe I sing it. Maybe I sing on the record.
Do you sing?
No, I don't.
Brought to you by Hot Creations, this is Andrea Oliva's track, Piano Not Piano. feel about the current house music scene?
The current house music scene is amazing.
Full stop.
No, I don't know how to explain, but people in our industry tend to be negative on one side and too romantic on the other side, and they tend to judge our kind of music as much as they would judge like a piece of amazing art. Like, I think everyone should chill out for a moment and just enjoy our scene. We have an amazing scene. We should focus on like doing music which would eventually pick up on bigger markets. And we should, because we still like a very, we still own a very small piece of cake in the music industry in the world, you know what I mean? So I wish we would focus positive energy and would sell our kind of scene to the world a bit more positive. Let's put it that way. So that's why you never hear me complaining about any EDM artist. Like, if I can tell you, like, I release, for example, I remix people like Tiga. I do collaborations with people like Matthew Deere. I release on some techno labels. I did like things which maybe would attach me to the underground scene, seeing it from outside. But I can tell you something, like, I love people like Steve Aoki. I don't care if he throws cakes in the face of people. You know what I mean? Like, I love Calvin Harris is a good friend of mine. He's a genius. I don't like what probably 90% of the music Steve Aoki plays I don't like, but I like him very much. Like, he's amazing, and I think if our world would be like our music world, our industry would a bit more united, we would make a bigger impact into the world of music.
So
globally speaking,
do you feel like there's fractions of negativity that need to be ironed out?
Yes. This is the only thing. Like, I think in our scene, people try to be a bit too cool for school.
Okay.
Instead of why would you not be as open-minded as you are with what you call our underground movement? Of course, we have to save like the roots and the essence of our kind of music. But at the end of the day, if you see a track which has just claps, snares, and a kick as music, you should respect also, like, let's say, for example, EDM as music, even though you think it's just a whole freaking noise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay, distortion and blah blah. So I think the more we should be a bit more open-minded and acting less cool, and then our scene would be like paradise.
I like your position. I think it's true. It's open-minded and respect and love, because that again is what dance music's, the foundations of dance music: community, one love. I sound like a big hippie.
There's people eating pizza with pineapple. So of course it's a no-go as an Italian. But why should a pizza with pineapple not be tasty for someone who loves it? What's the problem? You know what I mean?
Yeah, let them eat pineapple. I like it.
So it's totally fine.
Lastly, I've heard that you're an absolutely massive AC Milan football fan, and that this takes up much of your life. how obsessed are you with the team?
Well, all my family is AC Milan fan, so I kind of born into this, into this team, and I love football. I think I love to play football. I love to watch football, and I was an AC Milan fan since I could understand about the game, and I'm still an AC Milan fan. And what's even more amazing is that now I'm like I even know people from the team, and I know a lot of players, and I go see them whenever I can. It's even more exciting to be an AC Milan fan now.
You're friends with Ronaldo, right?
Yeah.
Yes. How did that friendship
Well, actually,
appear?
the thing is, I know a lot. I have like a easy, I have like a good friendship with a lot of football players, but with Ronaldo, it's a bit more special. Like, it's not just like I really like him as a person, and I know his kids, and I know his girlfriend, I know his dad, and like it's very he's not a friend. Like, let's say he's not someone to do a picture and put on my social media just to show like I did. You know what I mean? Like, he's a real friend. And he's like crazy into electronic music.
So does he ever give you football lessons and you give him production lessons?
No, but we played. We had a few games in his house in Ibiza.
Cool.
And he came a lot to my gigs on the island.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
An inspiring friendship. Thank you so much. This has been a really interesting chat. And I'll make sure I never order pineapple with pizza and disrespect the Italians.
No, do it. No, you can you can order it everywhere you want, just not in Naples.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Out on 8-Bit, this is Supernova with The Wild Weekend. This is Fun 18 Mix by Mark Broom out on Beck Audio. You're listening to Piano Track by Pirate Copy out on Solar. This is the Nick Fanciulli edit of Lee Cabrera and Thomas Gold's Shake It, out on CR2 Records. Beatport Podcast.